is there anything that the Biden administration can do to affect those political aspects? I mean, as you said, Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, is concerned about his political future. I think a lot of people suspect he'll have trouble holding on to office when the war ends. That would give him some amount of encouragement, I think, or reason to extend the war. Um, for from the American perspective, how what's the interface there to try to reduce those political calculations on his end?
Yeah, it's tough because the prime minister's got two governments. He's got the war cabinet, uh, which was formed courtesy of Benny Gantz in an act of, I think, selfless patriotism, joining a government at his instigation, even though he profoundly mistrusts Benjamin Netanyahu. That's one government that Netanyahu has to maintain. He wants to maintain. If Gantz should leave the government and tell the nation why he was leaving the government, I think you could begin to see an unraveling of the current political constellation in Israel, maybe a formation of a new government or elections. And then he's got his old government, the most extremist, right-wing, homophobic government in the history of the state of Israel, which again he needs to maintain with two extremist ministers, Itamar Ben-Gvir and Bezalel Smotrich, who want to hear nothing about the day after. Certainly, if the day after involves the return of the Palestinian Authority to Gaza, however fanciful that may be at the moment, let alone the prospects of any serious discussion of a two-state solution. So he's managing. Joe Biden, I have to say, from the beginning, um, has demonstrated a degree of preternatural support for Israel, which is actually quite remarkable. I think it's driven, frankly, by the president's persona. He alone among modern American presidents, he has no equal in this, a president who has had decades of experience with the state of Israel and actually considers himself, witness his wartime visit to Israel. There was some debate within his administration about whether he should go, and he said he needed to go. I think the quote was to look them in the face, to look them in their eyes. That emotional attachment to the state of Israel, to the people of Israel, not to the Netanyahu government, to the idea of Israel, I think has informed the president's policies and willingness to accommodate rather than to confront. So I think the administration has all kinds of leverage should it choose to use that leverage. But I think Biden is probably not going to use it because I think on two or three key issues, Michael, the administration doesn't have any better answers for the Israelis than the Israelis do. Number one, how do you eradicate Hamas in a densely populated area, twice the size of the District of Columbia, with a population density now of anywhere from 20 to 30,000 humans per square mile? How do you do that without inflicting grievous harm on Palestinians? Number two, how do you surge humanitarian assistance into what is essentially a free fire zone? And number three, how do you combine the elements of a day after or any sort of transition when, in fact, that may well depend on what the Israelis can and cannot accomplish uh, with respect to their military operations? I don't think the administration has what I would consider compelling answers for the Israelis on any of those questions. And as a consequence, I think Biden has made a judgment. And maybe Israeli Saudi normalization is still in the back of his mind. I suspect it may be that, in fact, he's not ready and doesn't think it's productive to get into a public breach or to use leverage. What could he do? He could slow walk or cancel munitions deliveries. He could decide to be more proactive in New York, abstaining or even voting for a UN Security Council resolution. And in the nuclear option, he could join the chorus, which the international community is now in harmony on, of calling for a cessation of hostilities. I don't think, frankly, and I could be wrong. We'll see by the end of January where we stand. That the administration is trending to doing any of those things.